change something, if we all got on the same message, and we were all putting out the same vibe as far as, possibly asking for somebody to see that there is something greater than themselves. One specific person that, possibly my sister, that there is a God, that there is something greater than her, and she, it would be great for her to find that. If we put our three heads together, or even more people at that specific time, in that very moment, is it possible to, really influence a person that way? I suppose it'd be considered even miracles. You're talking about shrinking tumors. Is it possible, do you suppose, if we all were doing the same thing at that same time?
Well, you just covered a lot of ground.
I know, I'm sorry.
with that. So there are about three different questions that I'm hearing in there, but the bottom line is this field will mirror back what it is that we're feeling. So probably rather than asking that something happened, the key, the language the field recognizes is to feel as if it's already happened. So that's number one. Number two, my experience is that it is probably not going to be successful to try to convince or persuade anyone of anything because people just don't work that way. The best thing to do is just to live whatever it means in your life, and by example, other people often will pick up the nonverbal cues. And number three, yes, what the experiments have shown is where multiple people come together in a common shared experience, that effect can be mirrored back into their lives or the bodies of their loved ones. The key is, once again, to feel as if rather than asking for. And just think about this. When you ask for something to happen, and it's important this makes sense before we hang up, when you ask for something, even when it's well-intentioned, if you're asking for the healing to be here now, for example, or for peace to be in our world, what you've just implied is that it's not there right now because you're asking for it to happen. And this field is very literal. It will mirror back the fact that it is not there now. Or if you say, I want something to happen, the field will say, okay, I'll let you want and want and want. It's a literal field, is what the experiments have shown. So the key is to be very specific and to be very precise in the outcome, very clear about what that outcome is, and to feel as if that outcome has already happened.
Great. Thank you for the response. Let's go west of the Rockies. You're on Coast to Coast. It's your turn. Hi there.
Hello, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good evening. West of the Rockies, you're in our part of the world.
Yes. Well, Greg,
yes.
I have an interesting question to ask you, and thanks to my friend Sandy, now this message will be heard through millions. With love being the most powerful emotion known to mankind, if we were to express collectively our thoughts with love to all those who we cared about, our dear and loved ones, and then we thought about those who we didn't like, disliked, and we sent them love, what would the preponderance of the effects be?
Well, there's two keys to what you're saying, and the first is that love is a feeling. So and that's not happening in your mind. You're thinking about something in your mind, and into that thing, you are pumping, you're imbuing that thought with the power of emotion that comes from your heart. So love is the feeling. And rather than it be specific, it can be. What happens is the field mirrors back very literally what it is that we're feeling, and you don't have to send it anywhere. It's already there. And this is precisely what the studies were showing with the DNA. It's what they were showing with the experiments in the Middle East, whether it's love or whether it's peace, whatever it is. So you can create those effects. However, unless those individuals are open and willing to receive that experience, the effects may be short-lived, and that's the key. And when people are talking about imposing their will through this field, we can be very well-intentioned and offer our love to our loved ones. And the flip side of that equation is they have to be open and willing and ready to receive that love.
And we equally do that to people we've transgressed in our past to seek release and restitution and send them love?
We can, and we have to be also at a point of moving beyond the judgment and the ego. I mean, as a scientist, this is a very different realm for me to be talking about, and it's what the studies are showing. The emotions are most effective when we're not in a place of judgment or ego, which means we're okay whether we see the effects or not. I mean, that's the irony. The irony is that when we have the power to create these effects, the greatest power comes from the least ego and attachment to the outcome, if that makes any sense at all.
Well, I had to ask that as in the movie What Dreams May Come from
Classic.
Williams. It seemed apparent that those who we suffer, we create our own hell, if you will, in the afterlife, because we didn't have final release of all the things we've done, transgressed, and we carry that guilt. So if we release all our transgressions with love to those who we've transgressed, who've done us wrong, we've done them wrong back, say, and that would seek release, so we're forgiven. We feel that peace. So we can
now I know where the question's coming from. Sure, we can do that. The key is to be able to do that. We have to know that is possible. We have to understand how this works, and not everyone has that understanding right now. So,
and I equally think about love being like the example of Fritz Lang's Metropolis. The message was clear there. I mean, between the head and hands, there has to be a mediator, and that mediator has to be heart.
Sure.
And it's kind of odd because that came out of Germany prior to the rise of the Nazi Empire, but they forgot about that message. And so I'm hoping that we will remember that message that I'm mentioning to everybody on Coast to think about that clearly.
Well, I believe we are, and I think again we spoke about this earlier. That's